Markakis, moved him up in the leadoff spot, and he said, no problem, do whatever you need to do to help us win games. He's leading the league in doubles right now with 7. He's been a model of consistency in this lineup, and they need him if they're going to keep getting this thing going.
And he said he figures that Markakis could stick in that leadoff spot for quite a while. He's in there for the 2nd consecutive night tonight as the Braves try to clinch the series win. And on the other side, you hear about Giancarlo Stanton, you hear about the hit champion last year in D. Gordon, but Christian Yelich is slowly emerging as one of the game's top young hitters.
Don Mattingly believes that Christian Yelich is really about to come into his own. Christian Yelich was hitting 200 in June last year, ended up batting 300 for the season. That's 387 over that stretch to close out the year. He is a guy who sprays the ball all over the field. Oh, and a Gold Glove defender.
And there is his manager, Don Mattingly, is in his first season here in Miami. He's the 7th manager in 7 seasons for the Marlins. Of course, last year they had a GM for his entire career move into the manager spot, Dan Jennings. Since moved on, and Mattingly in his first year here in Miami. And on the other side is Freddie Gonzalez, who managed you once upon a time.
When I was a Marlins farmhand, who was a AAA manager, he coached me here in the big leagues as well. Freddie's just a great all-around guy. You don't find many people that don't have great things to say about Freddie Gonzalez, and he's embraced this challenge with this ball club in the Braves that he has. He knows they're making some moves to try to get better. He's riding it out, and he does feel optimistic about the direction that this team is going in.
And this rebuilding project, he's been the guy that they've kept in that managerial role, trying to see him through it. And he sends this lineup to the plate tonight. Again, it'll be Nick Markakis. It'll bat leadoff. It is a lefty-heavy lineup. In fact, the only right-handed position player is Gordon Beckham hitting second. Adonis Garcia out of the cleanup spot. And the pitcher, Bud Norris, will bat right-handed as well. But a lot of lefties in this Braves lineup. They face off against Tom Kohler, who takes the bump for his 2nd start of the season, and this guy has become a workhorse for this Marlins club the last few years.
Tom Kohler led the team in innings last year, 187 in 3rd. He was the guy who had 31 starts. That means he was out there every time he was needed. Been a linchpin for this rotation. Even when Jose Fernandez was out, he was there. When Cozart was out, he was there. He's been the guy that's been a steady force in this rotation.
Makes his 2nd start with his defense around him. One of the top outfields in baseball potentially, with Yelich, Ozuna, and Stanton. Martin Prada, the veteran, at 3rd. Echeverria, one of the great fielding shortstops in the game. Gordon has gotten so much better defensively at 2nd. Boras at 1st, and Real Muto does the catching for Tom Kohler. Atlanta with a 6-3 win last night in a game that Miami led 3-0 after 5. The Braves came from behind with 2 in the 7th, and 4 in the 8th, and then after the game, before the media had access to the locker room, they were playing "We Are the Champions" playfully after snapping that 9-game losing streak.
Well, you have to have a sense of humor in the big leagues. And the fact of the matter is, if they lose 6, 7, 8, 9 in June, it's not that big a deal. It's just that it's at the beginning of the season that things get magnified. Same thing offensively. If you go 0 for your first 15, it's not that big a deal, but because it's in April, it's that big a deal.
Yeah. Tom Kohler, 6'3", 29-year-old out of the Bronx, ready to work against Nick Markakis, who's started in the leadoff spot. Last night was his first one this season. They had Ender Inciarte hitting leadoff, but Inciarte out with a hamstring injury. Alex Smith called up, made a couple of starts in that spot, but has gotten off to a slow start. So Markakis is in there and swinging at the first pitch and lining a base hit to right. So Markakis has reached in all 11 games this season, and the leadoff man aboard against Kohler.
Well, talk about not letting a guy get comfortable. Kohler throws in that fastball. Markakis turns on it. Not a bad spot for Kohler. Just a really good swing on Markakis. Drives it into right field. Gets the offense going for the Braves.
It's an offense so far, Preston, only 3 runs per game. That's 3rd fewest in the National League. In fact, the bottom 3 teams in runs per game in the National League are all in the NL East. The Mets and the Phillies also down at the bottom of the league. Here's Gordon Beckham in his first year in a Braves uniform. former highly touted White Sox prospect. Taking ball one. He's put together some good at-bats for them lately, and for the first time hits in the top part of the order tonight.
The Braves are very happy with what they're getting out of him, and it goes beyond the .286 batting average. Hits at bats overall, even when he's not getting hits, have been good so far this season.
He's the 8th overall pick back in 2008 out of Georgia, so coming to the Braves, somewhat of a homecoming for him. Took the Dogs to the College World Series during his time there. One of the all-time great players at UGA. Waits on this 2-0 from Kohler, and is ahead in the count 3-0. Freddie Freeman due next. Markakis with a single on the game's first pitch, and a 3-0. Strike one.
89 miles an hour, a little bit slower than Tom Kohler velocity can reach. He can get it up there 94, 95, sometimes 96 miles an hour.
Three and two.
That's just a hitter's count. He just threw it right by him right there. So sometimes, even though it's 90, it can look a little bit harder, because when you know a fastball is coming and you miss it right there, that means there's something about it that you just didn't quite get on.
Well, pretty long too, 6'3", good extension. Trying to battle back after falling behind 3-0 here against Beckham. Runner takes off on a bouncing ball that'll keep him out of the double play, and Echeverria shows off that arm strength deep in the hole. 1 out.
You just got a glimpse of why he is one of the most highly touted shortstops in this league. Not only does he have the hands, look at the footwork to collect himself, and an absolute cannon, throwing with his body weight, going away from the field, on target throw to get the out at first base.
Got a pretty good chance to win a Gold Glove this year. Andrelton Simmons no longer in the National League. Braves fans say thanks for the reminder. He's now in an Angels uniform. He was a finalist last year, was Echeverria, with Simmons and with Brandon Crawford in San Francisco. There's strike one to Freddie Freeman. And as this Braves lineup has struggled, Preston, it's been Freeman in the middle of it. It's really seen the bulk of those struggles. Only 3 hits so far this season, and he has shouldered a lot of the blame for the offense's slow start. It's this one on the ground is second. Gordon's got it. 2 gone. Last night's hero, Adonis Garcia, comes up. Broke the 3-3 tie with a 2-out single in the 8th. In a game that the Braves trailed 3-0. Scored the final 6 runs of that game. Getting to the Marlins bullpen to get their first win. Garcia swings and misses at a breaking ball, strike one. In his big league debut last year at the age of 30. Out of Cuba, defected in 2011 when he was 27. Linked up with the Yankees, a few years in their minor league system, before coming over to the Braves as a free agent last April when the Yankees released him. This guy can flat out hit.
31 years old, you see there, but he is a base hit waiting to happen. He's got a great swing. He understands himself at the plate, and he's got a really good approach.
Flipped a breaking ball and foul ground. Bohr over to give it a look, but it gets out of play. It's 1-2. So makes his big league debut as a 30-year-old, and hitting cleanup for the Braves here in his second big league season. Off to a good start, hitting above 300. Knocked in 3 runs last night. Markakis started the inning with a single, moved to second and a ground out, moved to third and a ground out, and now 1-2 to Adonis Garcia. Got a piece of it into center, but Marcell Ozuna is there. And Kohler's able to pitch around the leadoff single. Marlins come up for the first time after this. Ready to take the ball for the third time in a Braves uniform, and this is a guy looking for a bounce-back season after a rough 2015.
So far this year he's 0-2, but in 2015 he had a bout with bronchitis. He's about a 220-pound guy, got down to as low as 204 pounds.
And goes to work against D. Gordon, who bounces one back to him. And with Gordon's speed, makes him hurry, but he gets him one away. Gordon's retired at the top of this Marlins lineup with it, which has a chance to be pretty darn good. You've got the batting champ at the top in Gordon. Ozuna coming to the plate in the 2 spot. Then it's Christian Yelich, who's number 2 in the majors right now in batting average. Giancarlo Stanton, perennial all-star in the middle, with Prado, Borre, Almuto, and Echeverria in front of the pitcher Tom Kohler. Ozuna with a 3-hit game last night. Takes ball 1 from Norris.
If there's a guy in this lineup who could make a big difference, it's Marcell Ozuna. Rookie campaign, over 20 home runs, over 80 RBI. Had a rough year last year, looking to bounce back in 16.
And sends a fly ball in the air to right. Markakis back on it to the wall with room for the second out. Showed some opposite field power, but came up a little bit short. This is hitting coach Barry Bonds.
Good approach there, stayed on that ball. It's just a very big ballpark. Some ballparks that might be off the wall or even out. Right there, Markakis does a good job of getting back, finding the fence, makes that play nice and comfortably. That's a good experienced outfielder right there. No panic on the track.
So 2 up and 2 down for Norris, and Christian Yelich comes up. Yelich off to a fantastic start, hitting .429. And really, since the back injury slowed him down early last season and he got it going in late June, there's not been a better hitter, at least average-wise, than Christian Yelich across baseball. Go back to the end of June. The end of June until now, Christian Yelich, number 1 in the majors, hitting .364, number 2 overall this year right now.
He's just a guy that knows he can hit, and he's been like that since the first day he stepped into the major leagues.
2 balls and a strike. A guy that was a first-round pick back in 2010. 24 years old in his 4th big league season, and a guy that Don Mattingly really excited about when we had a chance to talk to him before the game today. Said he is on his way to being one of the best. But Norris trying to work a 1-2-3 first inning. Is 2-1 to Yelich upstairs, and it's 3 balls and a strike.
This is a typical Yelich at bat. He sees a lot of pitches. He doesn't chase pitches. And that's led to his high on-base percentage throughout his career.
And he takes ball 4, which means Stanton will get a chance to bat here in the first inning. Norris's first walk of the night. And here he is. And an RBI single in the first inning last night. Average not quite there yet, but he's hit a couple of home runs, including in his first game this season off Justin Verlander, after missing the entire second half last year with a broken hand. Strike 1 and a perfectly placed fastball.
The injury Giancarlo had last year was a hamate injury. It's a small bone in the hand. Golfers get it a lot, but it's something that once you get it taken care of, it's gone. I had it done in the minor leagues. Once it was broken, it wasn't an issue the rest of my career.
He's one of those guys you're counting on to stay healthy this year. You talk about Ozuna and his performance swinging things one way or another. Well, Stanton, you know what performance you're getting if he's healthy. It's just a matter of can he stay on the field. And over the last few years, that has been an issue with him.
It's so impressive when you watch Stanton, because the amount of stress that he puts on pitchers really shows. Even when he's not having a good game, the amount of precision that they have to put into trying to make a good pitch to him ends up leading to mistakes to other hitters.
Waits on a 2-1 from Bud Norris. Tries to lay off his sharp slider and does. Not a fun spot to be in if you're Bud Norris here, down 3-1 to Giancarlo Stanton. Hammered 27 home runs before breaking his hand in June last year. He's on pace for a 60 home run season before that injury. Yelich at first with 2 gone and a 3-1 to Stanton. Fooled him, 3-2.
That shows you the level of respect that the major leagues has for Giancarlo Stanton. It's the first inning. 3-1 count. They drop a 3-1 slider on him because they know the power this guy possesses.
Yelich should be off and moving with a pitch, and Stanton foul tips it into the mid for strike 3. Through with an inning and no score. 5, 6, and 7 coming up for the Braves here in the second as A.J. Pierzynski takes ball one from Tom Kohler, who gave up a leadoff single to Markakis in the first, but then sat the Braves down in order from there, and gives up a leadoff single here in the second as Pierzynski bangs one into center.
See Pierzynski jumping all over this fastball. Whenever you see the catcher have to reach back across the plate in locations off, big league hitters usually pretty good swing on it. And A.J. Pierzynski is a veteran, and he did just that.
Couple of decades in the majors for Pierzynski. And a leadoff single for him here in the second. Yet another veteran comes to the plate here in Kelly Johnson. And he takes ball one. It's in his 11th big league season and his third stint in a Braves uniform. Braves drafted him in the first round back in 2000, made his big league debut with Atlanta. Came back last year, was dealt away at the deadline to the Mets before returning for opening day this year. He's part of that rotation in left field now with Hector Olivera suspension for domestic violence. The investigation from MLB. So rotating several bodies out there in left. Breaking ball, pulled foul, and it's 1-2. But our keys tonight, sponsored by Ford. Take us a little deeper inside these pitchers, Preston.
Well, Tom Kohler needs to keep up the tempo. When he starts working a little slow, that's when the problems come into play. He also needs to command the fastball. When he pitches with good fastball command, then that nasty breaking ball and that changeup starts to come into play as strikeout and out pitches.
Johnson flips one into short left. Long run for Echeverria, who calls off a charging Yelich for the first out of the inning.
And on the other side of it, Bud Norris, he simply just needs to get deep into the game tonight. They made a lot of pitching changes. I think they used 5 guys out of that bullpen last night. Freddie Gonzalez needs a little help. They need him to go deep in the game so they'll take some of that pressure off that bullpen.
Pretty good start for him in that first inning at the walk, but worked quickly otherwise. Yeah, they had 4 2/3 out of the bullpen last night. 5 different pitchers you mentioned saw time. Eric Ibar looks at ball one. And it is already a bullpen for the Braves that is hampered because of injuries. Neither one of these teams have had good starts this season from those pens. Ibar in his first season in a Braves uniform and has had to live with the natural comparisons to the guy that he replaced at shortstop, Andrelton Simmons, who's now with the Angels. But Ibar has struggled defensively to begin with. He has not hit well. And the automatic reaction people have is what we're used to at short is the best fielding shortstop in the game.
Well, you can get a little spoiled with that, but what Ibar will do is he's going to swing the bat. Talk about a .275 career lifetime hitter, 48 home runs. He's also got 142 career stolen bases. So he may not be Andrelton Simmons with the glove, but he's going to do a lot more offensively to help you.
Kohler walks him on 4 pitches. First walk of the night issued by Kohler. 2 on with 1 out for the Braves here in the second. So now it's the 8-hitter Malik Smith. He got called up last week with Ender Inciarte down in the disabled list with an injury. Oh, with a hamstring injury. Freddie Gonzalez telling us this evening that Inciarte is expected to begin running again early next week. And hopeful to have a return before not too long from now. Kohler drops in a breaking ball. Strike 1 to Smith. See that bandage over his left eye. In his big league debut earlier this week while stealing second, his helmet popped off and hit him in the head on his slide in. He needed 5 stitches. Welcome to the show. He's one of the many young guys that they're really excited about in this system.
Oh, he's an exciting player. Organizational Player of the Year in 2015. Came in at just enough to trade. Look at the steals. 57 steals last year, 306 batting average between AA and AAA.
A chance for him here to get his first big league run batted in. Brzezinski at second, Ibar at first, and one gone in a scoreless second inning.
That fastball registered at 92 miles per hour on your screen there. Maybe Kohler's loosened up a little bit. I think he hit 90 in the first inning.
Smith couldn't lay off a sharp breaking ball. That's the first strikeout of the game for Kohler. 2 gone here in the second.
That's the breaking ball that he uses. That's that put-away breaking ball. Look at this thing, nasty, diving in the dirt. He trusts Real Muto to be able to dig it out for him. But that's why it's so important for Tom Kohler to have fastball command, because then you got guys thinking about it and you get that result on the breaking ball.
And a chance for him again to pitch around a leadoff base runner. Markakis started the first inning with a single, is stranded at third. Brzezinski started this inning with a single. He's still at second with 2 gone. And Bud Norris, the pitcher, takes a fastball at 92 for strike 1. It's the first time for Norris back in the National League as a starting pitcher since he was with Houston while they were a National League club for his first few years in the majors. Career 145 hitter. Two on, 2 out in the first, or the second, and a 1-1. Snapped off a breaking ball and missed. 2 balls and a strike. Kohler 30 pitches through 1 2/3. The right-hander out of New York back with a 2-1. Flashed down the right field line, but foul, and it evens up at 2-2.
I love Tom Kohler's mentality. He's that bulldog. He's that always felt like he's an underdog, so he always pitches with a chip on his shoulder.
It's a low draft pick. Took him time to work his way up through the system. Went to another breaking pitch, showing Norris a lot of respect here and falling behind, full count.
Well, he was definitely going for the punch out right there. He wanted to get this inning over with, not run this count deep. Fortunately missed a little high with the breaking ball right there, but now he's got a decision to make. Is he going to go fastball, or is he going to try to get a swing and miss on a breaking ball, try to trick it?
Runners take off, and a fastball is fouled off.
I like the call with the fastball right there. He's been throwing his fastball for strikes, so it's a good pitch in that situation. You see a lot of pitchers, if they're struggling with command, sometimes that breaking ball becomes the easier pitch to control.
Fastball again. Norris really battling him here. Only 11 RBIs in Norris's career. Spans 8 seasons. A little less than half of that career has been in the National League, though. He's with the Astros when they transitioned to the American League. And then the last few years mostly with Baltimore. Waits on another 3-2. And looks at a fastball, low, ball 4. What an at-bat for Bud Norris, and the base is loaded against Kohler.
Get a look at this on the Fox tracks. Borderline pitch just a tick low. Norris does a good job of laying off of it. Works himself a walk. Tell you, the last thing you want is their opposing pitcher to run your pitch count up. Kohler's sitting on 35 pitches now, trying to get through the second inning.
This is an 8-pitch at bat that Norris just worked. And Turns it around for Nick Markakis, and an opportunity here to break the scoreless tie in the second. Jumped over the first pitch that he saw from Kohler to begin the game and singled. Here he takes ball one. He has owned Tom Kohler their previous matchups. He's now reached base in 8 of his last 10 plate appearances against the right-hander. Here comes the 1-0. That fades in for a strike. It's 1-1.
And don't you think Tom Kohler doesn't know that?
Yeah.
You know, every pitcher knows who's that guy that has their number.
Markakis has been that guy for Kohler. Year 2 of a 4-year deal in Atlanta for Markakis, who waits on this 1-1 and takes it inside. 2 balls and a strike. After 9 years in Baltimore, came over last season, signed a 4-year, $44 million deal. Returned slowly last year, had to bounce back from off-season neck surgery. Still put up decent numbers. 2-1. Breaking pitch, evens it up.
It's a big pitch right here. Nice breaking ball, evens the count, which is important because you don't want to have that 3-ball count with the bases loaded. You especially don't want to go 3-2 where everybody on the bases are in motion.
Brzezinski at third, Ibar at second, Norris at first, and a 2-2. Markakis with a jam shot, back of third. Prado's not going to get there, and the Braves take the lead on a 2-run single from Nick Markakis. They have a few of those coming their way after this 0-9 start. It's 2-0 Atlanta here in the second.
Bad things happen when you walk the opposing pitcher, and it's even worse when you walk him and it puts the bases loaded with a guy who has your number. Not a bad pitch on the inside part of the plate, but when you're going well against a guy, these things happen. Bloops it in the left field. Prado can't get it with his best effort. 2-run score. Braves are in business.
So Brzezinski and Ibar both in, and it's 2-0 Atlanta here in the second. So they had that 0-9 start, Preston, but in the 10 games so far, they've had leads in 7 of them. It's not necessarily been a case of the Braves getting blown out by teams. It's been a matter of finishing games, locking down leads. And in the case of last night's game, Freddie Gonzalez's team overcame the slow start to win it late. Gordon Beckham takes ball one. The 0-9 start was only the 3rd time in franchise history the Braves had started 0-9. 1919 when they were the Boston Braves, lost their first 9 games, and then in 1988, franchise record 0-10 start to the season. Dee Gordon makes the call on the catch, and the inning comes to a close, but the Braves strike first on a 2-run single from Markakis. Single to get the Braves on the board, and 2-0 as we go to the bottom of the second. But Norris back out there. The Braves are 1-9, getting their first win of the season last night. And we mentioned it at the back end of the top of the second inning. The 0-9 start matching the second worst start in franchise history. The only worst start was in 1988 when they lost their first 10 games. 2 to the Cubs, 2 to the Astros, 6 to the eventual world champion Dodgers in that 0-10 stretch. How about some of the names they lost games to during that 0-10 start, Preston? Don Sutton, who was with the Cubs at that point, or with the Dodgers at that point. Nolan Ryan beat him during that stretch with the Astros. 21-year-old Greg Maddux was then a Chicago Cub and was not yet a dominating pitcher. He beat the Braves during their 0-10 start in 1988. Oral Hershiser, Fernando Valenzuela, up and down the list in that season opening stretch for a Braves team that went on to lose 106 games that season, which is the most that they ever lost since moving to Atlanta. Here's a 1-1 to Martin Prado, and he pulls a line drive base hit down the left field line. Johnson over to grab it, and Prado's got himself a double to begin this second inning.
Prado came into this game batting .379 and absolutely hammers this ball down in the corner. Great swing by Garcia before he can get to it. Ball rattles around in the corner, and Prado cruises into second with a stand-up double. Paying your old team back a little bit. Martin Prado spent a lot of years in Atlanta. They know him quite well.
Yeah, for 7 years of his big league career, he was an Atlanta Brave, and has turned into a really good leader for this Marlins squad. Here in his second season in Miami. Leadoff man aboard for Justin Bour. Looks at strike one.
Something unique about Martin Prado, he has this thing with the team where the last out, the ball has to come to him. So even if the ball is over at first base, they throw it back to Martin Prado before they leave the field. Something really interesting to watch. It's kind of one of those team building things that they've done.
Bour with a jam shot base hit into left. Prado comes in to score, and it's 2-1 as Bour and Prado go back-to-back with base hits to start the second.
Don Mattingly's got to be extremely happy about that. We spoke with him before the game, and he said one of the things that Justin Bour has really done to come along with is letting the ball travel and hitting it the other way. Now, we know that one wasn't exactly lined very hard, but it's having an idea at the plate of what the other pitcher's trying to do to you, not trying to do too much in these RBI situations. Good things happen, and he got the Marlins on the board with a base hit knock the other way.
That was something that he hardly did at all last year in his first full big league season with the Marlins, but more and more as this young season has rolled on. The 7-hitter JT Realmuto looks at strike one.
There's an old adage in baseball, good hitters get jammed. It's because they see the ball longer, they let it travel to them. They're not afraid to get beat.
You got jammed a lot, didn't you?
When I learned how to hit, yeah.
Ball and a strike on Realmuto. He became the primary catcher in late April last year after starting the season in AAA. Jared Saltalamacchia was released. Realmuto wanted to have a really nice offensive season at .259, homered 10 times. Waits on this 1-1. Shot in the air the other way, sending Markakis back to the track. 1 out.
Talk about great positioning. That ball's hit to the warning track. Markakis did not have very far to go get that ball. With conventional positioning, that ball might be a double. That ball was hit fairly sharply, but Markakis was positioned very well, didn't have far to go, got an easy out for his ball club.
Brings up Adeiny Echeverria. Celebrated his 27th birthday last night. Went 1 for 3 with a walk. Yet another nice young piece in this Marlins lineup. Don Mattingly thinks he really has a chance to be a nice hitter.
He does something that's very unusual. He flourishes in the 8 hole. In his first 2 years in the big leagues, he's been mainly an 8-hole hitter and has hit 280 or above in both of those seasons.
His 4th year in Miami total now. Came over from the Blue Jays as part of that big 12-player deal back in 2013. Jose Reyes, Mark Burley, Josh Johnson all involved in that deal. Guy that fled Cuba for Mexico in 2009 and then signed with the Blue Jays 1 year later. He hits a high drive into deep left center field. Johnson back on it. That ball is gone. Maria with his first home run of the season, and just like that, the Marlins lead.
Great swing right here by Echeverria. Picks on a slider that hangs in the middle of the plate, and he drives it back through the big part of the field. And you know what? Don Mattingly might be onto something. This kid has a really nice swing and may be coming into his own offensively.
So after the Marlins give up 2 in the top of this inning, they quickly respond with 3 in the bottom half. RBI single from Justin Bour. Now a 2-run homer from Adeiny Hechavarria. Now Tom Kohler taking a ball from Norris. It's 1-1. Double, single homer in this inning for Miami. And now Kohler with a base hit to the opposite field. His first hit of the season.
Tom Kohler catches one off the end of the bat, serves one out there right in front of the right fielder, picks himself up a base knock.
Bud Norris, who was pretty darn efficient during that first inning with the exception of the walk to Yelich, has given up 4 hits in the second, and back to the top of the order for Dee Gordon. Strike 1. National League batting champ last year. Got 3 hits on the final day of the season to move past Bryce Harper to win the batting title. He was the first guy since Tony Gwynn in 1989 to get 3 hits on the final day to come from behind to win the batting title.
It was an incredible performance. I was there in that ballpark, and he did it with power. He did it to all fields, and he did it on different pitches. Double off the wall, home run. It was just a really great performance on a guy who had to have it, and he did it.
He turns 28 on Friday. 6th major league season, 2nd one in Miami. Of course, the first 4 were with Don Mattingly in Los Angeles. We asked Don Mattingly about how different Dee Gordon is now than he was when he was in a Los Angeles uniform. And the first word that came out of Mattingly was confidence. He said he thinks guys typically turn the corner when they find that confidence. And Dee Gordon has.
I think Dee Gordon definitely feels like he found a home here in Miami. His style of play is exactly what this ball club needed. And he has flourished in this Miami Marlins uniform.
Worked the count full after falling behind. Speaking of working the count, how about his at-bat earlier this week in New York? A 16-pitch at-bat to set a franchise record. Eventually singled, stole second, came in and scored what would be the winning run in a 2-1 game. Pulls one to second. Beckham recovers and flips to second one, but you'll never turn 2 on a ball hit that softly by Gordon. 2 away.
No, go back to that at bat. The amazing thing about that at bat, he fouled off 12 pitches. 16 pitch at bat, and the count never went to a 3-ball count. That's amazing.
Yeah. This is the longest at bat as far as pitches in 2 years. Justin Turner of the Dodgers, former teammate of his, Had a 16-pitch at-bat against Johnny Cueto back in 2014. Turner will face Johnny Cueto tonight. Cueto now in a San Francisco uniform. Here's Ozuna, flying to the wall and right his first time. Gordon barely gets his hand back in, taking a heck of a lead over there.
Very unique right there. A lot of pitchers put the ball in the glove. Norris came set with the ball in hand, never put the ball in the glove, went straight from that position and throw the ball at first base. Ball in hand here, see it holding by the leg. Now he puts it in the glove, trying to give D. Gordon some different looks. You know you got a serious base threat over there. You want to mix it up. You don't want him to get comfortable with a rhythm or with a look. So you do things like that. Throw from set before you even put the ball in the glove. Then from set, got to change up those looks.
Help out A.J. Przinsky, who needs some help right now in that department. 0 for 6 and trying to throw guys out. There goes Gordon. Swing and a miss. 0 for 7. Gordon with a stolen base and sets up an RBI opportunity for Ozuna.
It's just so hard to stop him when he gets a decent jump. His acceleration is so great. Watch this jump. Good acceleration. He's at top speed after the second or third step. And if you're A.J. Przinsky, there's not much you can do about that. Decent jump. With that acceleration, he's in there safely.
There is that number. Przinsky yet to throw a runner out this year. Gordon with his third stolen base. Ozuna swings and misses behind 0-2.
Good slider. Starts in the middle of the plate, starts as a strike, ends up as a ball. Good pitch.
The first-year Brave Bud Norris. Foul tipped into the mid for strike 3, and the inning is over. RBI single Justin Moore, and then a 2-run homer from Adeiny Echeverria, his first of the season, and the first Marlins lead. Getting on the board in the second inning, but Norris giving up a 2-run shot to Adeiny Echeverria, who hit 2 home runs as a rookie, hit 3 the following year, hit just 1 in 2014, had a career high 5 home runs last year. So career home run number 12 for Adeiny Echeverria has the Marlins in front. Tom Kohler pitching with the lead for the first time. Ball 1 to Freddie Freeman. Freeman homered himself in his first swing of the season against Max Scherzer, but since then has gone 2 for 28. Similar to the Braves' slow start, going 0-9, because it's at the start of the season and you don't have a full body of work to balance it against, it gets magnified. High fly ball to left for Christian Yelich. So Kohler retires Freeman, and it brings up Adonis Garcia. A 29-year-old who was born in the Bronx, grew up in New Rochelle, New York. Played his high school ball there, stuck around home for college, went to Stony Brook, one of the great mid-major baseball programs in America. Kohler's father, a policeman, the NYPD, was one of the first responders on 9/11. Right-handers 1-0 to Garcia. Line to right, base hit.
Man can hit, stays inside that ball, lets it get deep. See how long that bat stays through the zone, able to take that pitch to right field, pick himself up a base knock. Talking about Tom Kohler, he does have that mid-major mentality. He's always got something to prove. Wasn't a high draft pick, wasn't always a top prospect, had to battle for everything he earned in the minor leagues. Went places where there were higher prospects, he outpitched them. Got to the big leagues, there were other guys that were supposed to make that team out of spring training a couple of years ago. He outpitched them, and he takes that mentality to this day.
Bases Brzezinski with the man on and 1 out. After a long pause, time is called. Yeah, it was an 18th round pick out of Stony Brook. And he said there were times early in his career where there were guys that he knew he was better than, but because he was drafted after them, he had to watch them take the ball, them get the promotions, until he was given an opportunity to prove himself.
Well, that's just part of the politics of baseball. Sometimes it's not fair, but when you're an organization and you invest money in higher round draft picks, you know, it helps you to try to figure out if you can validate that pick. You got to give those guys that you give the money to a chance to play.
Breaking ball hit in the ground to first. Bohr goes to second, 1. Back to first, too high. And into the camera well. So Brzezinski will get second on the throwaway from Echeverria.
I thought Justin Bohr did a really nice job here, giving Echeverria a good feed. Base runner got on a Danny Echeverria pretty good there, and he kind of airmailed it a little bit. Just got to target that throw a little better. Even if the first baseman isn't set back on the bag, you have to throw to the spot and not the guy.
We're seeing less and less of these poor throws on turns because guys aren't getting contested. Rarely are you seeing anymore that jump throw from short because of the new slide rules. Strike 1 to Kelly Johnson.
It's a rule that a lot of players are having a hard time adjusting to, and it's not just the base runners, the infielders. A lot of infielders don't particularly care for the base running rule at second base, but it's something that's there, and we're going to have to work with it.
It's taken some of the artistry out of middle infield play.
A lot of middle infielders feel like there is a certain talent that goes with turning a double play, and when you take that contact out, a possible contact, now anybody can turn a double play because there isn't that level of difficulty.
But the bottom line is it's intended to help keep guys healthy. Anytime you have a rule change like that, though, there's going to be a period of transition where it swings a little bit too far towards the rule and typically tends to kind of even itself out as time moves on, and the league and umpires and managers and players all working together to try and figure out where this thing belongs.
And I understand the erring on the side of caution. I think every league should aim to protect its players. Now it's going to have to go into a functionality mode. You're going to have to put it in a mode that still is baseball.
Ellie Johnson floats one into shallow center. That ball's dropping for a base hit. And the Braves have tied the game on a 2-out base hit from Johnson as Brzezinski scores from second. All 3 Braves runs have come on 2-out bloops.
Both pitchers have been unable to get the shutdown inning after their offense has given them some runs. Ozuna had a long way to go right here to try to stop this ball. Unfortunately, he takes it off the cheek, allows Johnson to go to second base there. But both offenses are doing a good job at pecking away after the lead had been surrendered.
And so the error on the throw from Echeverria comes back to bite Miami. It's Brzezinski taking second on the throwing error. Winds up scoring on the bloop. One ball and no strikes on Ibar, who walked and scored back in the second. Hard hit on the ground to second. Gordon's got it. And the inning is over. But the Braves tie the game on a 2-out base hit from Johnson. Three locked at 3. Joe Davis, Preston Wilson back at Marlins Park in Miami, where the Braves got their first win of the season last night, 6-3, and have tied the game here in the 3rd inning. Bud Norris to Christian Yelich. Fades one for strike one. Yelich walked his first time. There was a time, Preston, where people were talking about this outfield for the Marlins potentially being one of the great young outfields in the game. You had Yelich, a slow start last year, finally got it going. Stanton has been injured the last couple of years. Ozuna, a down year last year after the breakout. They keep those guys healthy, and you get a bounce-back season from Ozuna. You're no longer talking about one of the best young outfields in the game. You're talking about one of the best outfields, period.
Well, when you go around from left field to right field, you got Yelich in left, who's a Gold Glover that hit 300 last year. Ozuna in 2014 hit over 20 home runs, 80 RBIs, and we know the monster that Stanton is.
Yelich cracks one on the ground as second for Beckham.
So with that type of production out of an outfield, you're right. It goes from being a good young outfield to one of the best outfields, period, regardless of age.
They just love to have some stability for their stars. You know about Stanton and his injury problems. Of course, Jose Fernandez coming off of the Tommy John surgery. This is the first time since early 2014 that they've had both of these guys healthy, Fernandez and Stanton. He's missed an average of close to 50 games this season over the last 4 years. There was the knee surgery in 2012. There was the hamstring the year later. He was hit by a pitch in the face in 2014 while he was on his way, many think, to winning an MVP. Wound up missing the last month. Clayton Kershaw won it. And then last year, the hand injury we talked about.
You know, I really think he should have won MVP because even though it was in the last month, he still only missed roughly 2 weeks worth of baseball. And if you look at that season, Clayton Kershaw actually missed the first couple weeks at the beginning of the season. So I don't think he should have been penalized for not playing in those last 2 weeks. He had a monstrous season. There was nobody who did what he did offensively. And to see a pitcher get it, I don't know, that kind of that left a little sour taste. Yeah, that left a little sour taste in my mouth for the season that he had to not get the MVP.
Stan fouls it back 2-2. What a career he's put together. Just a matter of him staying on the field for him. Already 183 home runs. Part of the franchise leader in homers. And his 7th big league season now as a 26-year-old. Debuted back in 2010 for the Marlins. Pulls a bouncer towards the hole with a backhand eye bar. Long throw, won't get it. And an infield single for Giancarlo Stanton.
Big man can run a little bit. Once he gets going, those big long strides take hold. You got to remember, this guy was a wide receiver in high school. So once he gets going, he can stretch it out.
Still wears that face guard from that scary moment where he's hit in the face by the pitch.
Right about there, those strides kick in, gets going. You know, it's amazing. The last thing you notice about a guy like that is how well he can run. You see the power, you see the throwing arm, but he can surprise you when you see him get down the line.
He's an all-around athlete. I saw somebody tweet tonight some video of him during BP. It said, "Create a player come to life," like a video game created player.
That's pretty much what he is.
Yeah, I'm going to load him up 99 on everything.
Oh, that's a great call. What a compliment that is. If I could create a franchise play on a video game, it would be you.
Yeah, and if I was playing you in the video game, it wouldn't be fair if you were allowed to use them. You got to use real guys. You can't use Stanton.
Oh, man. That's good stuff.
Prado started last inning with a double, came in to score the Marlins' first run. It's the first time I saw Giancarlo, he was still Mike. Yes, this is 2010 in the minors in Double-A. It was in Montgomery. They have a tall left center field wall with a giant scoreboard on top of it. Stanton homered over the scoreboard. Was called up for his major league debut the next day.
That is literally hitting your way out of a league.
Hitting your way out of the bus leagues. That guy knows a little something about hitting. How about that combination? Barry Bonds, hitting coach, Giancarlo Stanton, pupil.
You know, when you go back to the name change, it wasn't really a name change. His name was always Giancarlo. They just chose to call him Mike. And then finally he just said, you know what, I want to be known as my name, which is Giancarlo. And maybe it was a little bit of a mouthful for some people to say, so they chose the easy way. But he's always been Giancarlo.
1-2 on Martin Prado. You know, Barry Bonds, you've seen the last couple of shots there in the Marlins dugout in his first year as the hitting coach. A lot of people on the outside that looked at it and said, no way that this guy succeeds in a role. A lot of times you find the best coaches as the guys that struggled some during their careers, had to learn through failure. He didn't have a ton of that. But all words are that he's really dove in and he's doing all he can to help this young roster. Prado with a fly ball on the right field line for Markakis. And the second out of the inning. They said that he eased his way in, wasn't all over guys to begin with, focused more on developing relationships during spring training, and based on being Barry Bonds, I've got to figure guys are going to come to you to get that advice.
I'm going to say a word that people may not normally associate with Barry Bonds: humility. He took the hitting role with humility. He didn't come in and try to change everybody. He came in and earned these guys respect. He came in and had relationships with them before he started making any type of adjustments. And I think they responded to that in the best way possible.
Ball on to Justin Bour. Said he took the job in honor of his dad, Bobby, and his godfather, Willie Mays. He said they taught him so much. And he looked at this as an opportunity to pass it all along. He's living in San Francisco. His kids all grown up, out of the house. So when Jeffrey Loria called him during the offseason, at first his knee jerk was, come on, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go be there every day. Be there early during spring training, stay there late, something that he never even had to do as a player. And he decided to do it. His mom urged him, he said.
How amazing is it to have Willie Mays and Bobby Bonds as your hitting coaches when you're younger? You're talking about possibly the best all-around player ever in Willie Mays, and in Bobby Bonds, who was arguably the most powerful leadoff hitter to ever play the game. You're talking about a 30-30 guy in a leadoff spot.
4-pitch walk to Justin Bour. You put it together and you get 762 career home runs.
One of the most amazing things about Barry's relationship with his dad, Bobby Bonds, who's passed now, is his father used to come to his games and chart his at-bats. Used to write them down, and that's how Barry became so calculated as far as knowing what guys were going to do in certain counts, how guys were pitching him with men in scoring position. It all became just natural to him in his mind, so he would get to the big leagues and then know if it's a 2-1 count, this is what I'm going to get.
Here's Real Muto with a 2-out opportunity and taps it back to the mound. Norris flips it to first, and the inning is over. The short track tomorrow at Bristol. Kyle Busch looking for his 3rd consecutive victory, all beginning at 12:30 Eastern, only on Fox. And also watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Back in Miami in the 4th inning, where they have a fish tank right behind home plate. See it there off to the left. That is bulletproof glass to have protecting it. Right hitter Malik Smith takes ball 1. And a 3-3 game in the 4th. The lone strikeout victim of Tom Kohler so far. Brings a 1-0 and misses low. Alex Smith, major league debut on Monday. Only 22 years old, came over in the Justin Upton deal prior to last season. Takes strike one. 1 for 16 so far as a big leaguer. And if you're Tom Kohler, not the kind of guy you want to put on base to start an inning.
You definitely don't want to do that, because then it puts you in a situation, if he steals that base, then the pitcher can sack him over to third base. You got a man on third with 1 out.
And Smith hammers one in the air to right center field. Stanton turns on it and watches it bang off of the wall. And Smith around second, holding with a double. That ball was crushed, and he was at second when Stanton grabbed it.
This young man can run. I looked up. Stanton hits the ball, and Alex Smith is a step away from second base. This ball is actually played very well off the wall by Stanton. He gets the right angle, plays the carom very well. Alex Smith with a great swing, and he is off to the right. Kind of looks a little back like Deion Sanders when he used to play for the Braves, flying around the bases like that.
No, you mentioned walking and then stealing second. He's there himself. And now Norris will try and move him over there, but the go-ahead run in third for the top of the order.
See if we get Justin Bourque crashing here.
Bunted perfectly, third base side. Prado with a bare hand, and a tough throw gets Norris. They got the job done. Smith up to third.
Great job by Bud Norris, making the third baseman come field that ball, takes the play away from third. Does his job very well. Look at him, got the bat set, bat at the top of the strike zone, nice and comfortably gets it down, forces the defense to make a tough play. Well done, Bud Norris.
So how about Norris's 2 trips up there? He walked his first time on an 8-pitch at bat, and now you couldn't have rolled it out there any better on a sacrifice bunt.
That's helping yourself as a pitcher. You know, sometimes if you're not going as well as you want to be on the mound, you do the other little things. You get bunts down. You have good at bats. You field your position.
Markakis taking ball 1. Kohler yet to retire Markakis. Singled on the first pitch of the game, and then had a 2-run single on a bloop shot down the left field line in the second. And has now reached in 9 of his last 11 trips against Kohler. Strike 1.
This is a situation for Tom Kohler. This guy has your number. You want to be very careful to him. You don't want to let him have a chance to drive in that run easily. It's lefty on righty with a guy that handles you, where you're probably better off attacking Gordon Beckham more than Nick Markakis right here.
Came right over the middle, and this will get the job done. Back goes Ozuna, still going, and it's over his head, bouncing off the wall. Third hit of the day for Nick Markakis, his 3rd RBI, and the Braves back in front at 4-3.
Nick Markakis does a good job going down and getting this pitch. This pitch is at the very bottom of the strike zone, but he doesn't try to do too much. Veteran hitter stays in the big part of the field. When he's got that sac fly situation with a man on third with less than 2 outs, ends up getting himself a double and driving in a run.
His 8th double, which leads the majors. Heck of a day for Markakis. Gordon Beckham looks at a strike. Well, you said it. You would rather deal with Beckham in that situation, and he center cut one.
Well, sometimes when a guy's got you, you just have to admit it. And in football terms, you got to punt. You know, you can't trust yourself to make a pitch to him when you have an opportunity with a righty coming up. Beckham isn't really a speedy guy. He runs decent, but he's not a speedy guy. Set yourself up an opportunity for a double play. Make the game a little bit easier for you.
Beckham 0 for 2 today. And down in the count here, 0-2. Real Muto sets inside. And a fastball banged in the ground into center. Another base hit. Markakis coming home. Ozuna's throw is up the line. Beckham taking second, and it's 5-3 Atlanta on an RBI single from Gordon Beckham.
Oh, that throw's really offline from Ozuna. Sometimes he can uncork some good ones. That was not one of them. Great job by Gordon Beckham, though, going up the middle. Hard hit ground ball. See, Ozuna comes up firing there, but that ball really tails on him. He didn't really get his feet set properly. Doesn't really close that front side. Ball flies off to that third base side. That's something outfielders always have to be aware of, to get that front shoulder pointed towards home plate so that you can replace it and get that accurate throw. Rushed that one a little bit. Base runner was able to advance.
Third hit of the inning, 8th hit of the game for the Braves. And now Freddie Freeman yanks a line drive base hit into the right field corner. The line keeps on moving for Atlanta. Freeman has an RBI double, and it's 6-3 Braves.
Freddie Freeman likes the ball down in the zone. He gets a breaking ball that falls right there about knee-high, rips it into the corner, and the Atlanta Braves just keep replacing that man at second base, batter after batter.
Pitching coach Roger McDowell out there to talk with Kohler as they get the bullpen going with Narveson, who they used last night.
Freddie Freeman is one of those guys that you have to pitch counterintuitively. They tell you to keep the ball down all the time. Freddie Freeman is not one of those guys. He's a notorious low ball hitter. He's got that natural loft in his swing as a lefty. So sometimes you're better suited to pitch him up in the zone a little bit because he has a harder time getting to those pitches with his natural swing.
And that was not Roger McDowell making a mound visit for the opposing team. Juan Nieves out there talking with Kohler, who delivers strike one to Adonis Garcia. So the Braves now 12 runs on 16 hits since the 7th inning last night. You go back to the first 4 innings last night, they didn't have a hit. Garcia hits a fly ball to right. Stan is under it. He's got it. And will test the arm, does Freeman. He's up to third. And 2 away. Time for a game break now. We check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin, Nationals have the best record in baseball at 8-1. A lot of that has been at the expense of the Braves. 6 of their 9 losses to start the season came to Washington. That is going to do it for Tom Kohler. Don Mattingly's out to get him, and this Marlins bullpen that has struggled this year called into action in the 4th inning. Ultimate Fighter, Team Joanna and Team Claudia, featuring both strawweights and light heavyweights. It all begins with the season premiere Wednesday, 10 Eastern, only on FS1. And don't miss Tough Talk immediately following each new episode, all season long. So the Marlins have to go into the bullpen. Speaking of tough, Chris Narveson has to come in there. The team already down 6-3. His second appearance in as many games, and trying to forget about last night's outing. He gave up 2 runs, charged with a blown save in just 1/3 of an inning. So the night is finished for Tom Kohler, 3 2/3. With a runner at 3rd and 2 gone, and 0-1 to Brzezinski.
If there was one thing this bullpen was designed to do, it's to be able to recover some of the games where your starter leaves early. You have a lot of guys in the bullpen who are former starters. Edwin Jackson, Chris Narveson. Those guys can stretch out the game for you if your starter happens to leave early.
So Dom Mattingly's pen, as a result, has pitched more innings than any other in baseball so far this year. Brzezinski hits one to the ground to first. Justin Moore takes it to the bag and finishes the frame. But the Braves get 3 to chase Kohler. Three runs on 5 hits and 2 walks over the first 3 innings allowed by Bud Norris. Between innings, what is it that he's doing right here? Any idea?
Well, it looks like he's icing the finger down. He's got the glove on it, so you wonder if he's trying to toughen up the skin or something a little bit. But he's definitely protecting the finger with the glove. Sometimes guys come to Miami, and with all the humidity, they tend to get blisters. I'm not saying that's the case, but it's something to look out for.
And on the first pitch of the inning, Adeiny Hechavarria, who homered his first time, flies out to right. Bud Norris, in his 8th major league season, his first in Atlanta. It's his 4th big league team, but it's his 3rd different team in the last 10 months. Had that great season in 2014 with the Orioles, but got off to a rough start last year. You mentioned the case of bronchitis that he had that he never really was able to bounce back from. Pitched for the final month or so in San Diego, mostly out of the bullpen. Signed down with the Braves this offseason. Chris Narbison batting for himself here in the 4th inning. Narbison goes off pretty good swing. Grounds it to first. Freeman feeds Norris. 2 up and 2 down here in the 4th. Back to the top of the order for D. Gordon. Now the Braves counting on a bounce back year from Norris. The .672 ERA that he had last year was the worst of his career, but it came 1 year after his best year. He won 15 games for the Orioles during that playoff run in 2014. Won a game in the postseason and an ALDS win over the Tigers before they were swept out of the American League Championship Series by the Royals. The Braves hoping to recapture some of that he had in Baltimore.
A tough season he had last year. He's around 215, 220-pound guy. Got down to as low as 204 after a bout with bronchitis. And when you're trying to do that in the midst of a major league season, it's going to be really tough on you.
Only Shane Green in Detroit had a worse ERA last year in the majors. Green's first year in Detroit. And Norris's first year in Atlanta, looking for his first win. Ahead of Gordon, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Those are the numbers last year. Started the season in the rotation with the Orioles. When he came back from bronchitis, eventually he moved into the bullpen, and he spent the majority of his time in San Diego in the pen as well. He strikes out Gordon with a fastball, his 3rd K of the day and his first 1-2-3 frame. Sent the lead off this inning for the Braves against Chris Narbison, who's in for Tom Kohler. Kohler lasting only 3 2/3. Gave up 6 runs on 9 hits. One of those hits and one of those runs produced by Kelly Johnson. Or an RBI single in the 3rd. And shoots one on the ground to a well-positioned Echeverria. 1 out. This is the oldest lineup in the majors as the Braves rebuild things. 5 guys in their 30s in this group. Got Beckham, who's 29, Freeman's 26. Smith drops that average down significantly because he's 22. But this is the picture of a team in the middle of a rebuild.
Yeah, you got a lot of veteran guys coming around that have been places. trying to find a spark here. You get veteran guys because you don't want to overexpose some of your younger talent and rush him up. Sometimes one of the worst things you can do is overexpose a guy before he's ready for the big leagues.
Eric Ibar, perfect example of a guy that fits in well with what they're doing. He's in the final year of a 5-year deal. They've got a lot of nice middle infielders in the minors right now. And really, Ibar kind of a stopgap for those guys. Instead of rushing them, like you mentioned, you get a quality major leaguer in there, at least for a season, to help transition those guys as Ibar flies out to away in the 5th.
And in speaking to Don Mattingly early in the game, the Marlins have that same type of idea with their bullpen. They got Bearclaw, Ellington, and Orania in the minor leagues, and they're getting them seasoned. They want them to get a little more settled in, get them a little better idea about throwing strikes and how to pitch in the big leagues before bringing them back up.
Alex Smith, the exception rather than the rule, with that lineup averaging more than 30 years old. He's the youngest, 22. Doubled and scored his last time up, part of that 3-run 4th.
You know, and the injury to Ender Inciarte is definitely allowed Malix to get some at bats. Hamstring injury for Inciarte.
Breaking ball got him, and Narveson with an impressive 1-2-3 inning. He's retired all 5 that he's faced after a rough outing last night. Major League coverage. T-Mobile has doubled its 4G LTE in the last year and now covers over 305 million Americans. Preston, I'm having a hard time finding your bobblehead in there.
You know why?
Why is that?
Because it's not in there.
Why is that?
I wish I knew. Just I don't have a bobblehead.
We gotta get you one.
You know what? I might have to start my own petition. You know, I had a 30-30 season here, still lead the team, career, you know, well, season RBI, you know, total here. No bobblehead yet.
No. Oh, hopping in on Ozuna, who bobbled his head back to get out of the way. 1 ball and 1 strike. Norris says, my bad, got away from him.
Looked like a changeup, though, that got away. Wasn't a fastball. He tried to get a changeup, throw to Ozuna there, maybe get him out front. Slipped out of the hand.
That bobblehead case fits, by the way, just to rub a little salt in the wound. 609 bobbleheads. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I have a couple, and I've been here twice.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. You know,
That's a crime, man.
I was going to put you on my Christmas card list, but you just ruined that, buddy.
Yeah, dang. Maybe you can send me a bobblehead of yourself instead. I'll ship it right to the Marlins, and they can put it in their collection. Jeffrey Loria compiled more than 1,000. Only fit a little over 600 in that case. Ozuna strikes out the second time tonight. I wonder if the case has like a little vibration in it to keep the heads always bobbing, or if it just relies on...
I think it moves a little bit, and all jokes aside, it's really a really neat feature in this ballpark. There's all types of bobbleheads from all different eras. You're going to see your favorite players from all different teams. It's a really fun attraction to the ballpark. It's really one of the things that the kids love, and it's part of the fan-friendly, family-friendly atmosphere here in Marlins Park.
Can you believe this place opened in 2012, that we're now in our 12, 13, 14, 15, fifth year here?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. The ballpark still feels new. It looks new. It's a really nice venue. Like I said, they've done a great job making it family-friendly. It's fan-friendly. So many things to do. There's a lot of food of all types in this ballpark. Not a bad seating house. I think it only holds about 36,000. So pretty much every seat's a good seat here.
It is the third smallest park in the majors. The Trop in Tampa Bay, a little bit smaller. And technically, they list the Coliseum in Oakland is smaller because they cover so many of those seats. It is gargantuan. It is way bigger, but as far as number of seats that they sell, each game, it is technically smaller. Christian Yelich goes up and gets one that was up and in, and grounds it softly to second, thrown out by Beckham, 2 away. Incorporated a lot of the flavor and culture of the city of Miami in here, with all the colors, aquarium behind home plate, the home run sculpture beyond left center. And that is a sculpture, sir. It is not a home run thing. It is not a home run structure.
Oh, it's definitely a point of pride in this ballpark. It's a sculpture that really highlights everything that is Miami.
Strike one to Stanton.
Got the big marlin up top. Got the flamingos in the bottom there, the sunshine, the waves. It's got a South Beach feel to it.
Stan 1 for 2 tonight. Struck out in the first inning, singled in the third. Norris home with an 0-1. That's a strike. 0-2.
Bud Norris has done a good job pulling it back together after that bottom of the second inning. He's really done a good job getting ahead, locating his pitches well, and executing against these Marlins hitters.
He gave up 3 runs on 4 hits in that second inning you mentioned. Stanton singled against him the following inning, but he's not given up a base hit since. He's retired 6 in a row since a walk to Bohr in that third inning. Here's 1-2 to Stanton. A fastball that missed, but was a strike. He wanted to go outside with it, left it over the plate. Stanton left it there. Game summary is sponsored by Budweiser. Nick Markakis in his second game in the leadoff spot has hits all 3 times up. Single in the first, 2-run single in the second, and an RBI double in the fourth. As Bud Norris looks at strike 1 from Chris Narbison. Norris has really settled in on the mound for the Braves after that 3-run second inning. Trying to make it back-to-back wins for Atlanta after the 0-9 start. 3rd time in franchise history the Braves started 0-9, once in 1919 as the Boston Braves. And then what turned into an 0-10 start in 1988. Norris pulls it sharply on one bounce to third, picked by Prado for the first out of the inning. Time for a game break. What's going on, KB? All right, Kevin, and back to the top of the Braves order here. We're talking about the Marlins outfield. A couple of years ago, the debate was whose young outfield is better, the Marlins young outfield or that Pirates outfield that includes McCutchen and has Marte and has Polanco. I think those guys over the last 2 years have emerged as the best, but we talked about this team here in Miami counting on a resurgence from Ozuna in center and a healthy Stanton in right. Tapper off of the bat of Markakis. Narbison throws him out, 2 away. And they're counting on Christian Yelich to turn into what it looks like he is starting to, which is a perennial 300 hitter.
It's going to be fun to watch these 2 outfields if they can keep them together, to see how they blossom and play as units in the years to come. Pittsburgh definitely is as athletic as you can get in an outfield. Sterling Marte in left, Andrew McCutchen, the MVP, Mr. Everything in center, Gregor Polanco, who seems to have untapped potential that's just unlimited over there in right.
1-1 on Beckham. Untapped potential is always a narrative with this guy. He broke in with the White Sox. Back in Atlanta now, right around where he played his college ball at Georgia. And he pulls up, running down to first. Beckham in pain. up in the game, but down another man as Gordon Beckham pulls up running down to first.
This is something when your team that's struggling, you cannot afford. They just lost Ender Inciarte to a hamstring. It looks like it's a little tender. Same thing, hamstring for Gordon Beckham right there.
You just hate to see it. You hate to see an injury anytime, but look at what Beckham's starting to do here. A little bit of a resurgence in his first year in Atlanta as Prado takes ball one. Daniel Castro was just caught up recently with Olivera down on a restricted list, suspended list. And Castro into the game at second as Prado looks at a strike. You were starting to feel good for Beckham and him putting up some good numbers, working his way up that Atlanta order. With the Braves in front here, searching for a second consecutive win. Finally, some reasons to smile if you're Atlanta, and then that happens.
Yeah, Freddie Gonzalez talking to us before the game, saying how he's been very pleased with how good Gordon Beckham has looked at the plate, moved him up in the order as a result of that, and unfortunately, like he felt a little something in that hamstring area just now on that trip down to first base.
Martin Prado's 1 for 2. Doubled and scored in the second inning. That's when the Marlins got all 3 of their runs. So 1-2 from Norris. And soft contact on a lazy pop to second. Castro into the game, gets involved right away. 1 gone. Scott's MLB Pitch, Hit, and Run is the official youth skills competition of Major League Baseball, and it's free for boys and girls ages 7 through 14. You can play your way to the national finals and have a chance to compete during All-Star Week in San Diego this year. Find a local competition in your area at pitchhitrun.com. Well, it's 8 straight retired by Norris. Justin Bour yet to be retired tonight. Base hit and a walk. And a strike.
Justin Bour came into this game hitting .356 against Atlanta, his highest versus any NL East opponent. So you know he's happy to see the Braves come in town. He's 1 for 1 tonight, and he looks to continue.
He hit 23 home runs total last year, Preston. 5 of them came against Atlanta in the month of September alone. Quietly was top 5 in the National League Rookie of the Year voting. Won by Chris Bryant in Chicago. Off of the handle, strike 2. He was caught up in mid-April when Christian Yelich went on the DL with a back injury, and eventually took over the starting first base role, and Michael Morse struggled. They shipped Morse out of town, and Bour latched on, hit .262, and hammered those 23 homers.
One of the more impressive aspects of what Justin Bour did last year was a lot of his home runs came in close and late situations. They weren't in blowout games. They were in 2-run games, 3-run games that really helped the team compete at the end of the season.
Turns and admires a skyscraping home run into the upper deck for Bour. He's done it to Atlanta again.
Pure power. Explodes through the baseball. Great balance. Doesn't get much better than that.
It's Bour's first of the season after that 23 home run campaign last year. And it brings up JT Realmuto. And he goes after this one, flying it down the right field line foul. And coming into the game, the Marlins had 4 home runs total. That's second fewest in the majors. They've hit 2 against Bud Norris, Echeverria, and Bohr, each with their first of the season. Each of Bohr's last 5 home runs have come against the Braves after that monster September last year. And now this solo shot here in the 5th or in the 6th.
Eric Cooper calls that a swing. Real Muto tries to hold up.
Action down in the Marlins bullpen. Craig Breslow. One-two to Real Muto. He dug a breaking ball out of the dirt, rolled it to short for Ibar. And it's not in time. How about Real Muto hustling it out? He's a catcher, but he's a heck of an athlete.
He's a great athlete. He runs very well, and that's one of those swings that allows you to get out of the box pretty well. You're swinging on that breaking ball, so you're leaning out towards the field. Your momentum is going towards first base. If you get out cleanly and you run well, you can make this a very close play, as he does right there. And I got to say, I don't see enough that's going to change that.
That's when the ball hits the mitt.
It's got to be in the back of the glove.
Yep.
I don't see enough to change it.
And they are not going to challenge. It doesn't appear. As an umpire, you're taught to stare at the bag and listen for the pop of the mitt. That was bang, bang there. Roger McDowell comes out to talk with Bud Norris, who hadn't had a base runner against him since the 3rd. He retired 8 in a row before the solo shot from Bohr, and now an infield single from Real Muto. Just like that, the Marlins have the tying run at the plate in the form of the guy that launched a 2-run homer his first time up tonight, Danny Echeverria. One day after his 27th birthday. Strike one. How does a guy spend a 27th birthday in Miami?
Well, considering you got a game the next day, you have a nice dinner, maybe talk to your family, and you wait till you have an off day the next day to celebrate it.
Whatever it was that he did to celebrate, should maybe do it again. That was a nice home run he had his first time. Launched it to left center, only the 12th of his career. A guy that Tom Mattingly thinks has a lot of upside at the plate. He's already one of the game's premier fielding shortstops. And he waits on this 1-1 from Bud Norris.
This next pitch from Norris will be the 95th pitch. You got to wonder how long that leash is going to be. Especially with the pinch hitter sitting there on deck in Ichiro.
The Atlanta bullpen last night, 4 2/3, have 5 different pitchers. That's ball 3. Arodys Vizcaíno had a 4-out save, so he will not be available tonight. As you see Ichiro grab a bat, ready to hit the pitcher's spot. Tying run at the plate with 1 gone in the 6th, and a 3-1 to Echeverria. Outside corner, bottom of the zone, 3-2.
3-1 count. Gary Cederson calls that pitch a strike. Echeverria didn't think it was good enough for him to offer out on 3-1. We go to 3-2. Hunter Cervenka warming down in the Atlanta bullpen.
One on, one out in the sixth. Here's a payoff. Real Muto runs on a foul. Back in the second, his home run gave the Marlins the lead. It was short-lived. Put them up 3-2. Braves tied it in the third. Got 3 in the fourth to bring us to our current score. The 27-year-old out of Cuba on 3 balls and 2 strikes. Takes up and in, ball 4. And the tying run reaches for Miami here in the 6th. Third Kohler walk of the night, or third Norris walk of the night. And up comes Ichiro.
Earlier in the game, we showed Bud Smith icing that finger, and he had a glove on it. And he takes a look at it right after that pitch. You got to feel like maybe he wasn't that comfortable with it. See him taking a look at that, maybe picking at the skin a little bit. Does look like a possible blister issue, but I think Fredi Gonzalez has seen enough.
And he has. To the bullpen he goes. Hunter Cervenka called upon, and that means probably a chest move in the other dugout. Ichiro pulled back. In full swing and plenty of action for you this week on FS1. Tigers Royals on Thursday, then on Saturday Red Sox Astros. Red Sox win in the first game of our FS1 doubleheader tonight over the Blue Jays. Hunter Cervenka on to face the former Brave Chris Johnson. Makes his first at bat against his former team. Cervenka comes in replacing Norris, who is sharp for most of the night, but gave up a home run to Justin Bour, single to Real Muto, and then walked Echeverria in succession here in the 6th. Cervenka's 1-0. Johnson swings and misses, 1-1. Norris 5 1/3. And now hopes the bullpen can lock it down. It has been one of the worst bullpens in the majors so far this year. 1-2. They lost Dan Winkler to the fractured elbow, throwing a pitch early on this season. Jason Grilly, Jim Johnson, both still recovering from serious injuries last year. Cervenka's 1-2 to Johnson.
Lenny Harris has a scurry out of the way of that ball, pulled down the line hard by Johnson. Tell you what, there's a guy that knows about pinch hitting. It's third base coach Lenny Harris, all-time pinch hit king in Major League Baseball.
Tying run aboard for the Marlins here in the 6th inning. 1 ball and 2 strikes on the pinch hitter Chris Johnson, and here comes Cervenka. 2-2.
I like it because guys call him all time. You can just walk up to Lenny Harris and go, "Hey, all time," and he'll look right at you and say, "What's up, man?"
Cervenka, who started the season in Double-A, and a big spot here, brings a 2-2. Johnson strikes out swinging, and a big punch out for Cervenka. Now the best seats at every ballpark for every game. Visit MLB.com/tickets today. Back to the top and D. Gordon. That one kicks away all the way into the seats, and the runners will each take 90.
Unfortunately, if the ball goes out of play from the mound, you only get 1 base. That happens when it's from the field. The base runners get to advance 2 bases. 1 from the mound, 2 from the field. But this is not where you want the base runners to be. That can potentially tie the game with the reigning batting champ at the plate.
He is 0 for 3 tonight. He's reached base in 8 of the first 9 games this season. Cervenka's 1-0 to D. Gordon. Strike 1. Guy that won a batting championship last year, facing a guy that was in independent ball for a time last year. Cubs released him. He was with Sugarland in independent ball and then signed by the Braves midway through last year. 1-1. Inside edge, strike 2.
All hung inside there. D may have thought it was a little bit inside, but Gary Cederson said nope. Young man had got the inside corner. Strike 2.
Real Muto at third and Chavarria at second, representing the tying run. And Cervenka's 1-2 to Gordon. Foul back. D. Gordon last year, 3 hits on the final day of the season to win the batting title, just edging out Bryce Harper. In his first season in Miami after the Dodgers dealt him. And off to a great start this season as well. Chance to tie the game here in the bottom of the 6th. Cervenka with back-to-back strikeouts to get Norris out of it. And the Braves hold on to a 6-4 lead after 6. Had an RBI double his last time up. One of the foundations of this rebuild for the Braves.
Just a great hitter, extremely good low ball hitter, and he has done a lot of damage against the Marlins over the years. 283 average, 105 home runs, two-time All-Star, just an all-around good player, and he is the cornerstone of this Braves Major League team right now.
And comes up here with the Braves in front 6-4 into the late innings. Facing a new Marlins pitcher, it's Craig Breslow. Replacing Chris Narveson, who retired all 7 batters that he faced. Freeman rolls the first one foul, strike 1. So here's Breslow. One of the veterans they're building this bullpen around. Give them some length. They get those power arms down in the minors, but understanding the personality of this current starting rotation, they built the bullpen with that in mind.
As you want guys who can go long. They know they wanted to protect Jose Fernandez early in the year.
Freeman sends a fly ball to center. Easy play, Marcelo Ozuna. 1 out.
So they built that bullpen with some depth. Craig Breslow can go long. David Phelps has been a starter. He's actually fulfilled every role you can think of in the major leagues as a pitcher. I mentioned before, Edwin Jackson, Chris Narveson, all those guys have the potential to give you multiple innings out of the bullpen. They're strike throwers, and they're known to be able to help you out a little bit if your starter exits early.
Breslow, a guy that debuted back in 05. Adonis Garcia bounces one to third. Martin Prado, 2 up and 2 down. So this Marlins bullpen there right now is with many of the power arms that are a bit erratic at this point in the minors. Of course, Carter Capps lost for the year with Tommy John surgery. Mike Dunn still out with the forearm problem. One of those things that kind of keeps getting nudged back and nudged back. Anytime you're dealing with something like a forearm, it's appropriate to do so and not rush back from it. The Marlins sure could use somebody like Dunn back end right now. Brzezinski, who is 0 of 9 lifetime against Breslow, looks at a strike.
Yeah, the night for Kohler tonight, 3 2/3, gave up 9 hits, 5 earned, 2 walks, 1 strikeout. Narveson gave him 2 1/3, and now Breslow's on. So this bullpen's going to have to do some work tonight.
They have so far, 9 up and 9 down.
Get a look at Carter Capps there, who suffered the arm injury in spring training. And last year, he was striking out more batters per 9 innings than anyone in baseball.
Brzezinski pops one almost into the rafters. Bohr waits on. 1, 2, 3. Go the Braves here in the 7th, and perfect work from the Marlins bullpen tonight. here in Miami, where the Braves trying to respond to that 9-game losing streak to open the season with back-to-back wins. They won 6-3 last night. They lead 6-4 tonight. They chased Tom Kohler from the game after 3 2/3. They've gone into the Marlins bullpen as Marcell Ozuna takes ball 1 from Hunter Cervenka. 2, 3, and 4 for the Marlins in this inning. Also working against the bullpen. Had an opportunity last inning, did Miami, with runners at second and third and 1 out. Hunter Cervenka striking out the pinch hitter Chris Johnson and striking out Dee Gordon. Ozuna pulls it foul. Speaking of Dee, look out. There are safer spots than right there.
I've noticed that Dee tends to sit there when he's really trying to get a good look and study the pitcher. I think that's. I used to do that. I used to have a spot where I'd go to where I could really get a good look at the pitcher, especially on a night if you're not swinging the bat very well. If you don't feel like you're picking up certain things off the pitcher, you find you a nice little spot, and you just you get a good look.
He is as far away from any distraction that the dugout might provide as he can be.
He's possibly got an at-bat left in this ball game. He had a ball game in New York where he went 0 for 4, didn't get to hit his first 4 at-bats, ended up having that 16-pitch at-bat, got on, scored the winning run from his team after getting a base hit in his 5th at-bat. So sometimes it works out.
Ozuna pops one up. Markakis making the call on the catch. So Ozuna's 0 for 4, 1 away here in the 7th. Bullpens tonight have retired all 13 hitters that they've faced. Neither one of these bullpens has been good up to this point this year. Some quality work from Hunter Cervenka. He's making his major league debut this year. 26-year-old out of Baytown, Texas. Here's Christian Yelich, trying to extend an 8-game hitting streak. Started with opening day. Two balls and no strikes. So we saw last night Arodys Vizcaíno go 4 outs for the save for the Braves. Not available tonight. He threw 35 pitches, and at this stage of the season, you don't typically want to throw a back-end guy, a short guy out there on back-to-back nights with those kind of numbers. Jason Grilli was one of the top closers in the league last year while he was healthy before the injury. Has not been the same since. They're easing him back in. Jim Johnson potentially part of that equation. 3-1 on Yelich, but really Fredi Gonzalez hasn't had to declare what the back end of that bullpen looks like because they haven't had too many leads in the 8th and 9th inning.
Well, that actually saves a manager a little bit of stress, short some stress that he would like to have to make a decision to come out and say who's my closer or what this situation is going to be. But I would think if the closer was up last night,
Arodys Vizcaíno.
I got to think that it's going to be Jason Grilli that might get the nod tonight. But then the question becomes, if they go into the 8th with this lead, who becomes the potential setup man?
Yeah.
Or do they do just a mix and match as far as if it's a lefty up or they got a couple lefties in 3 at-bats, we're going to set it up.
First base runner against either bullpen tonight. And Fredi Gonzalez will bring Chris Withrow in to a 2-run game with a tying run at the plate. Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. Visit MLB.tv for details. Hunter Cervenka's out. Chris Withrow is in to face Giancarlo Stanton, who represents the tying run here in the 7th. Good numbers so far this year, but in his career against Stanton, he's only retired him once in 4 meetings. Stanton has homered against him. Here's the first one. Stanton goes after it. It will get out of play. Giancarlo's 1 for 3 tonight with a single and a pair of strikeouts. Withrow, the former highly touted Dodger prospect, working out of the pen for the Braves, coming off 3 consecutive scoreless appearances, trying to protect the 6-4 lead in the 7th with a runner at first and 1 out. Ball 1.
Stanton this year with runners on is hitting .316, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs. Now would be a time for him to get one of those knocks, help his ball club out.
Kind of guy that can tie it with 1 swing. That one to hit.
One of the more stunning comments made by Don Maddox today when we had our managers meeting was, we asked him about Stanton's power and how it compares to others, and he said, I have not seen anyone with that type of power. Never played with anyone with that type of power.
He played with some good ones. He's crossed paths with some good ones in his long, storied baseball life. 1-2 to Stanton. Strikes out on an elevated fastball. Withrow wins this battle, and 2 gone in the 7th. 3rd time Stanton has gone down on strikes tonight. So now Martin Prado against Withrow. Eric O'Flaherty and Jim Johnson, by the way, warming in the Braves bullpen, filling in the answers to our questions of what things will look like down the stretch with the Braves in front. We didn't even really get a true look at it last night because Atlanta came from behind. They got 2 in the 7th to get to within 1. They didn't take the lead until the 8th. And Freddie Gonzalez went to Vizcaino in the 8th inning with 2 out. So really having to piece it together and structure things following Norris tonight.
Get a look inside the Braves bullpen there. They got both barrels smoking, ready to go for whoever comes to the plate for the Marlins.
Lefty and O'Flaherty, righty and Johnson. On deck is the left-handed hitting Justin Bour, so you'd assume if Prado reaches that we would see O'Flaherty coming. Withrow comes home with a 1-1 to Prado. Bounces it foul, 1-2. Official word, by the way, on Gordon Beckham is that he leaves the game with a left hamstring strain. And further testing will reveal the degree of that hamstring pull. Second hamstring injury Freddie Gonzalez has had to watch happen this year. Ender Inciarte, his starting center fielder, was first. And now tonight, the guy that had just earned his way into the 2 spot in the order in Beckham. 1-2 to Prado. Barely got a piece.
With that high fastball from Withrow must be very tantalizing. We saw Stanton take a swing at a high fastball. Now you see Prado chasing that fastball at the top or above the strike zone.
Prado with a hit in all 8 games this year for the Marlins. Doubled and scored in that 3-run second. Fly ball to left center field. Alex Smith is there, and the inning is over. Withrow is some good work, and the Braves still in front 6-4. Well, the MLB.com app, Bad App, is the way to stay up to the moment at any moment with game day and live game video highlights, StatCasts, and plenty more. So download it today. It's the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. Joe Davis, Preston Wilson back in Miami. Well, the Braves have a 6-4 lead and bat here in the 8th inning. Kelly Johnson jumps on the first pitch and singles against Breslow. It's the first base runner against the Marlins bullpen tonight, after they gave up 4 runs and blew a lead last night.
Yeah, this ball just is by D. Gordon before he moves. I don't know if he didn't see it well off the bat. Probably going to be a clear base hit anyway, but that's a nice swing by Johnson, picking on something early against Breslow that he'd like to get himself a base knock.
So pinch runner comes on for Johnson. That brings up Eric Ibar as the Braves try to tack on here in the 8th inning. Snapping that 0-9 mark last night. How about the Twins doing the same thing and then winning today? Twins getting back-to-back wins after they lost 9 in a row. Drew Stubbs is the pinch runner. This is the first time since 1988 that there's been a team in both leagues with an 0-9 start to the season. It's the last time the Braves started that poorly. They went 0-10. That was the year that the Baltimore Orioles set the major league record for the worst start to a season. They went 0-21 to begin the 1988 year.
That's a tough year.
Man.
Wow. 0-21. That's, you know, there were some meetings had that year by that ball club. Closed door, open door, take the door off. Change the door.
Yeah. As you like to say, meetings about having meetings.
Yeah.
So that's the worst start in Major League history. Worst season in Major League history. It was back in the 1800s. A team called the Cleveland Spiders in 1899. So the owners of that team bought the St. Louis Browns prior to that year and shipped all of their good players. They kept the Cleveland franchise, shipped all of their good players to St. Louis. So basically tanked. One of those players, a guy named Cy Young. Bounce to third. Prado's got it. There's one. Gordon double clutches and throws out Ibar. Time for a game break. Kevin Burkhardt. Far from the 1988 0-21 start there in Baltimore. Here comes Malik Smith with the bases clear and 2 gone here in the 8th inning. That Spiders team in 1899, that is, won 20 games. 20 and 134, Preston.
20 games.
And the league disbanded the franchise following the year.
Is that where the phobia of spiders comes from? I don't think that was a thing before that year.
Yeah. Awful. Teams stopped traveling to play them in Cleveland because nobody was going. And because nobody was going to the games, the way it was structured back then was the home teams helped cover the travel for the opposing team. So teams said, well, if nobody's showing up, you can't pay for our trip and for our hotel. They played 112 games on the road that year.
Yeah, it's time for a change when you have to do that.
Moral of the story is you don't have it that bad, Braves. 0-9 start. Rebuilding plan. Could be worse. You could be the 1899 Cleveland Spiders.
No, we talked about Malik Smith other than this game. He's got an 0-2 count on him right here. He's not even the fastest person in his family. We talk about how fast he's the slowest one of his siblings. One of his sisters ran for the Nike Tour. I think she was at Olympic trials. Both parents, or at least father's an educator at Florida A&M, I believe. So when you're the fastest person in your organization and you're the slowest person in your family, you don't go home talking mess, you know?
Strikes out swinging, and that finishes the 8th. Marlins offense will try and get it going, down 2. back-to-back wins after the 0-9 start. Drew Stubbs stays in the game after pinch running for Kelly Johnson. He plays left field. Jim Johnson was fantastic with the Braves last season before they dealt him to the Dodgers. Back in a Braves uniform and in the game here trying to protect the 2-run lead. Facing Justin Bour, who went deep off of Bud Norris his last time up. That's ball 1. Braves started the scoring in this game with 2 in the second. Marlins answered it with 3 in the bottom half. Braves quickly tied it in the third. As Bour cracks one to the ground to second. Yanni Castro throws him out. Braves added 3 in the fourth to take a 6-3 lead. That Bour home run came in the 6th. That has us where we are right now, 6-4, the last of the 8th.
Bud Norris got him into the 6th inning, which is what Freddie Gonzalez wanted. He wanted to have their starter get them into the latter part of the game, but the Braves bullpen has done a tremendous job today, shutting down pretty much everyone they're faced and really silencing this Marlins lineup, who had clawed their way back into this game.
The 7-hitter and catcher JT Realmuto is 1 for 3. Jim Johnson's 1-0. Right there for a strike, 1-1.
Johnson is unique. He stands all the way on the first base side of the rubber. A lot of righties like to stand on that third base side to give some deception, especially against righties. It helps them hide the ball a little bit more. Gives him a good angle to throw from, gives him some deception, but he's over there on that first base side, and I think he's getting the effect he wants because he looks good so far tonight.
Game started with Bud Norris, a former Oriole, Johnson, a former Oriole himself, and has a strikeout of Realmuto over the outside corner. 2 retired.
Yeah, stay right there, Johnson. Don't change a thing. That is great location. Pierzynski doesn't even have to move the glove. Absolute dot on the outside corner. May I help you, Realmuto? No thanks, just looking.
So Danny Echeverria trying to reach to bring up the pitcher's spot here in the 8th. Ball 1. They'd love to get Giancarlo Stanton to the plate one more time tonight. Need to reach 6 more spots in the order for that to happen. 1-1. Derek Dietrich waits on deck. With bat for if Echeverria reaches. Line to right, and Markakis makes a tough play on a sinking line drive on to the 9th inning in Miami. Prevailing moment of the game, sponsored by the Hartford tonight. Nick Markakis, 3 hits out of the leadoff spot. A single in the first, a 2-run single in the second, and a major league leading 8th double of the season in the 4th. Talked about him right off at the top tonight. He has continued doing what he started here in this 2016 season.
He's liking life at the top of the lineup. Have a night, Nick Markakis.
His 2nd season in Atlanta. He'll bat 2nd in this inning. Chase Peterson set to hit against Dustin McGowan, who is the 3rd reliever into the game for the Marlins. 6th appearance begins with strike 1. So Peterson, who will likely move back into a more regular role at second base with Gordon Beckham's hamstring strain. Got off to a slow start this year, and it started to lose some time over the last few days. A dribbler up along first, and an easy play for Bohr. Oh my goodness, he took his time and it bit him. Way too casual. Peterson busting up that line, beats it.
Great job by Peterson, never letting up, not taking anything for granted. Make them make the play. It looked like there was a little bit of confusion between who was going to make that play between McGowan or Justin Bohr, but upon further review, looks like maybe Justin Bohr got that toe on the bag just before Jace Peterson reached first base.
Still, never should be that close.
It should not be that close. You're absolutely right.
So they will review this, and it should not take long. In fact, they could save some money on the phone bill, not call New York, just look at the giant video board here in Miami, which the crowd does. And that's as long as it takes. Saw first base umpire Eric Cooper shake his head like, how did I miss that one? As he saw the same replay up on the video board here. They make a lot more than they miss. Major League umpires. One away to begin this 9th inning. And back to the top for Markakis, who has that 3-hit game going. And has reached base in all 11 games for the Braves this year. Bouncing ball. Justin Bohr again gets out of the way and lets Gordon take it. He feeds McGowan. 2 out. Marlins in the 9th inning. They'll have the pitcher's spot, and then Gordon, then Ozuna, and you get into the real dangerous part of the order. Yelich and Stanton follow there. They'll try to do it against a Braves bullpen that has been locked down suddenly in this series. Danny Castro first at bat of the night, replacing Gordon Beckham, who left in the 6th inning with what has officially been announced as a hamstring strain. So there's the likely answer to our question. Who gets the 9th inning?
Well, we saw Jason Grilli up last night when Vizcaino ran into a little bit of trouble.
Little tapper. Real Muto circles around it. Well played. Inning over. So Jason Grilli appears poised for the 9th inning, trying to lock down the 2nd straight. so much over the first week and a half of the season. 4 2/3 scoreless innings last night. 1 2/3 so far tonight. Jace Peterson stays in the game at second. Danny Castro moves over to third. And Jason Grilli takes the ball to try and lock down the save. He's one of the top closers in the National League last year before his Achilles injury ended his season. And he has eased his way back from it. They're going to pinch hitter in the pitcher's spot to begin the 9th inning. Derek Dietrich, who has some pop. Here he's just trying to reach with the top of the order due up. Put the over shift on the left-handed hitter. And Jason Grilli delivers strike one.
Jason Grilli coming back from that Achilles injury. Looked pretty agile hopping off to the mound after that pitch.
Nothing in 2 on Dietrich.
Good live fastball right there by Grilli on the outside part of the plate. Trying to stay away from Dietrich's power, which is middle in.
Really the 14-year major league veteran with his 8 different team. Brings in 0-2.
He was about as good as it got for a few years there with the Pirates. Absolutely big part of that pitching staff, closing out games for them.
One of the 8 teams that he played for was the Marlins, 2000 and 2001.
The old teammate of mine.
Yeah. Made his debut as a 23-year-old in this city. Trying to strike out Dietrich and leaves it upstairs. Ball 1.
Still got that good fastball, good sharp breaking ball, and definitely has that closer's mentality where he wants the ball in the 9th inning.
Former Seton Hall Pirate strikes out Dietrich to begin the 9th inning.
Ball up in the zone and away. Staying away from Dietrich's power. A lot of lefties have trouble with that ball in the upper part of the zone on the third base part of the plate. It's not in that natural loft of the lefty swing, and he puts it right where he wants to.
Now the top of the order. The corners squeeze against D. Gordon, who is 0 for 4 tonight. Trying to reach to make Ozuna the tying run here in the 9th. Right down the middle, strike 1. Series finale between these teams tomorrow. And then 16 more between National League East foes. Braves hoping they're 2 outs away from setting up what would be a chance at a series sweep tomorrow. Strike 2 on Gordon.
Tell you what, Jason Grilli has just come in and pumped strike after strike. That's what you want out of your guys out of the bullpen. Scuffling ball club, you get your first win the night before. You get the bullpen come in, shut guys down, throwing strikes, getting ahead, making it tough on that other lineup to get anything going on offense.
Total in this series now 6 2/3 scoreless innings out of the bullpen. Grilli struck out Dietrich, and Gordon lines a base hit in the left. And so the Marlins do bring up the tying run here in the 9th inning.
Nice swing by D. Gordon. Solid line drive base hit over the shortstop. 0 for 4 coming into this at bat. Keeps the head down on a nice short 2-strike swing. Great approach, great results.
Similar to, like you mentioned, the other night in New York when he had struck out in his first 3 trips up and then worked a 16-pitch at bat, singled, stole second, eventually came in to score the winning run for the Marlins against the Mets.
Sometimes you got to go to your thinking spot, Joe.
Yeah, that's what he did. We saw him down at the end of the dugout. That's what he was doing, planning that opposite field single. Here's Ozuna taking ball 1.
I still like the way Jason Grilli looks tonight, though. He looks nice and relaxed. The ball's coming out of his hand really well. I think he's trying to make this a tough decision for Fredi Gonzalez as far as that closer role.
Tying run at the plate with one gone in the 9th inning. Oh, frisbee, slider, strike one.
Uncle Charles says, hello, Ozuna. He gave up on that pitch when it was right out of his hand, and it just falls in there. Look at that. Oh, I'm done. Strike. That's a nice pitch.
Against a guy like you've mentioned earlier tonight, hammered 23 home runs just 2 years ago. The 1-1 to Ozuna. Strike two.
That's one of those pitches, though, you foul away because now you know in your mind he's got that get-me-over curveball. That's a very hittable curveball, but if you've never seen it from this particular pitcher, you give up on it. But that's not a pitch that Jason Grilli's going to throw with any type of regularity to guys that know him, because that pitch is very hittable.
After Ozuna, it's Yelich. Then it would be Stanton in a 6-4 game in the bottom of the 9th inning. Gordon held it first. Grilli's 1-2.
I'd like to see Grilli go to that big breaking ball right here. Ozuna has been known to swing wildly when he's got 2 strikes on him. I think if Grilli buries a breaking ball right here, he got a chance to get Ozuna on a swing and miss.
Brzezinski calls for the off speed. Set in the 1-2. Went to the breaking ball and got him. 2 away in the 9th inning. Good call, Preston.
Well, you can just see that at bat setting up, especially following a fastball up in the zone. A guy who's a free swinger, you follow that up with a breaking ball down in the zone. You got a great chance to get a swing and miss, and that's what Grilli did right there. That's a veteran at work.
So the Braves are not away from back-to-back wins. Christian Yelich representing the tying run with 2 gone in the 9th inning. A young emerging player for the Marlins against the 39-year-old Jason Grilli. He misses just off of the outside edge, ball 1. Up next is Stanton. If he comes up, he'd represent the winning run for Miami. Yelich still developing that home run power. Has 1 homer this year. Waits on this 1-0 and takes ball 2.
Well, you definitely see what Grilli's trying to do. He wants strikes, but he's trying to make sure that if Yelich does put a good swing on the ball, he's going to have to drive it to the big part of the field. And in this ballpark, that's going to work to a pitcher's advantage most of the time.
Going off speed on 2-0 and breaking it low. 3 balls and no strikes with Stanton due next.
I gotta say, that's the first pitch that Grilli's thrown this whole outing that I did not like. I don't like going 3-0 with your potential game-winning run coming to the plate in one of the most powerful guys in the league.
You giving Yelich a 3-0 green light?
No.
Not with Stanton due next. Ball 4. Giancarlo Stanton coming to the dish, representing the winning run. Roger McDowell out to talk with Jason Grilli about how to approach this.
This is what it's all about right here. Veteran closer with good stuff against a man who's known to have probably the most power in the league in a game-winning situation. Gotta love it.
3 times in his career he's hit walk-off home runs. His last walk-off came against Seattle in 2014. He's He's 1 for 4 tonight with 3 strikeouts. The veteran against the superstar. Strike 1. Started him with a breaking ball that was untouchable. Gordon at second, Yelich at first, representing the tying run. And an 0-1 to Stanton. Strike 2, same pitch.
Yeah, when you're Stanton right now, you got to try to find a way to slow down this tempo. Slow down that heartbeat. Get yourself under control. And it's easier said than done, but you got to treat this like an at-bat in the middle of the ball game.
Does Grilly dare throw him 3 consecutive breaking balls?
I don't see how he cannot throw him 3 consecutive breaking balls.
Here comes an 0-2. Fastball struck him out. Jason Grilly winds up Kane the side to get his first save of the season. And he does it the hard way, getting Stanton to finish the game.
Those last 2 at-bats by Stanton, not very good. That ball's not even close. Grilly had him right where he wanted him. Could have gone either way. High fastball that he struck him out on the at-bat before. That curveball that he swung at the pitch before that had him either way.
So more scoreless work from this Braves bullpen, and after the 0-9 start to the season, back-to-back wins over the Marlins, who still search for their first home win. For Preston Wilson and the rest of our crew, Joe Davis saying so long from Miami. Take it away, Kevin Burkhardt.